not the president. The president said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired.
Oh, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Put on the brakes. Put on the brakes. The brakes. That's the clutch. Welcome, welcome, boys and girls, children of all ages, hufties, pufties, bung-eyed heifers, right and left wing wackos, woodchucks, and chuckettes, kings and queens. Oh, right and left wing wackos. Kings and queens of the Northeast Kingdom. To another version of It's News to Us. You know, Toddster, it's funny that in that weekly newspaper, the Chronic or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
It's funny. They always, they mention the shows that are aired here on NEK-TV, except for one. They never, ever in 10 years have mentioned this show. I wonder why.
I didn't even know they mentioned other shows.
Oh, yeah. Old Wheelbarrow must have a pipeline right to the editor or something. Wheelbarrow's show is always mentioned. And anyways,
well, you have to start submitting a press release then.
Oh, yeah, I'll call my agent. You are watching It's News to Us in the land of popcorn here. It's News to Us, where Newport orders TV news watchers new. Here, Neil Brown Q, as the locals say. We got adult themes and adult language, you're advised. We're mostly G-rated, though. You know, it's no big whoop. Beware of the Bronze Age invisible sky god, because he's going to beat you and forgive you and beat you and forgive you, and like the Old Testament. And we're all inclusive here. We cater to men, women, men who think they're women, women who think they're men. Today, I identify as a zebra. My pronouns are je and jem, okay? Got that? And you must say my pronouns. Whatever I say goes. Got it? Get it? Good. Oh, and speaking of the paper, I read in the paper that they're bringing back the SS Turd Blossom next year, or soon. They're going to be able to cruise the algae blooms out for my cock. And, these are the deaths. Now we're talking about... mass shootings, an epidemic of mass shootings. Okay, here's the deaths. Auto crashes, this blew me away. I mean, ever since I was a kid, we lost about 50 to 70,000 people a year in auto crashes. But then after they installed airbags, thanks to Ralph Nader, we're down to 40,000. Look at the drug overdoses, 70,000 a year, what we used to have in auto crashes. And you'd think that people would care, right? And all these statistics come from the National Safety Council. You can go online and read all about it. And our mass shootings epidemic is 53 killed in August. It works out to about 630 or 40 a year. And motorcycle deaths, drownings, fire. It's baloney. It's a gun grab. We don't have any gun mass shootings epidemic. We never had, we never will. It's baloney.
Wait,
and
how
what
many
else
deaths by baloney?
Yeah.
How
It's
many
malarkey, as Joe Biteby would say. It's a gun grab, okay? And the way they classify a mass shooting is anytime over 3 or more people are killed and they are 21 years or younger. So the numbers are jacked up artificially by gangs, man. Because, gang shootings usually result in 2 or 3 people getting blown away. That's why they're gangs, And nobody cares about them, Black lives don't matter. As long as them darkies are killing themselves in Chicago, we don't care. And never mind that all shootings are done with handguns. They want to ban, nasty-looking rifles because they're nasty-looking and somebody used one in a Walmart or, I don't know. And here I got a press release. Thanks, Todd, for printing it for me. From Governor Phil Snott, from the office of the governor. Okay, you're going to love this. You want to talk about newspeak? This is prime newspeak, man. Read George Orwell's 1984. 21 June. Governor Phil Snott announced today the appointment of ex-Susanna Davis. Ex-Susanna, don't you cry for me, 'cause I'm off to Alabama with a banjo on my knee. He is the state's first executive director of racial equity. Okay, like we needed a director of racial equity, Toddster? I guess so. How did we ever get along without one? You know? How did we manage? Davis will work with state government agencies and departments to identify and address systemic racial disparities and support the state's effort to expand and bring diversity to Vermont's overall population. Ex-Susanna's leadership and experience are perfect fit for this position, and she will be a valuable addition to our team, said Governor Snott. In this role, she'll be critical to our work to ensure state government is demonstrating a full commitment to equal opportunity and treatment for all Vermonters, our visitors, and employees. This is an important step forward in our efforts to improve state government and strengthen our communities, both socially and economically, through real equity that values diversity. Real equity, not that fake equity, not the equity you have in your house and your cars and other property. This is real equity, okay? Davis will oversee a comprehensive organizational review to identify systemic racism in each of the 3 branches of state government and inventory systems in place that engender racial disparities. Additional responsibilities include reviewing and making recommendations regarding fairness and diversity policies, reporting, gathering, and analyzing race-based data to determine the nature and scope of racial discrimination within systems of government, and developing and conducting training to improve systems for inclusion in state government, and working with the Chief Performance Officer to develop performance measures. I am honored to be a part of Vermont community to improve equity within state government, noted ex-Susanna Davis. I look forward to the opportunity to work collaboratively with all branches of government to make Vermont more accessible to all, regardless of ethnicity or place of origin. She served most recently as the Director of Health and Housing Strategic Initiatives for the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Mental hygiene? Does that include using mental floss, Toddster? Mental hygiene. What exactly is that? I'm delighted to welcome ex-Susanna to Vermont, the Agency of Administration, and Secretary of Administration, Suzanne Young. Ex-Susanna has the background and skills to be successful, and I look forward to working with her to drive reform that advances racial equity. Candidates for the position were recommended to Governor Scott by a 5-member Racial Equality Advisory Panel consisting of appointees by the Senate Committee on Committees, the Speaker of the House, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and the Governor Human Rights Commission. The Racial Equity Advisory Panel, which will continue to serve in an advisory role to the Racial Equity Director and the administration, is comprised of the following members. And I asked Governor Snott's office also if these board members were remunerated for their time on the board, and if so, how much? Is it by a meeting, or is it by, just being on the board, not showing up? We have Andrea Brett, Chair, appointed by the Speaker of House Mitzi Johnson. Clarence Davis, appointed by Governor Phil Snott. Karen Richards, Esquire, appointed by the Human Rights Commission. Stephanie Seguino, Ph.D., appointed by the Senate Committee on Committees. Not to be confused with the committee on the committee about the committees. This is the Committee on Committees. Honorable Nancy Wapples, Superior Court Judge, appointed by Chief Justice Paul Reiber. Ex-Susanna Davis is a Juris Doctor with a concentration in international human rights law from New York Law School, where she also directed a civil liberties education program for low-income and minority youth. the Utes. You can't forget the Utes. They're our future. She studied at Fordham, earning the Reverend J. Franklin Ewing S.J. Award for writing on the relationship between global human rights violations and HIV/AIDS. She will start a new position on July 29th. Contact information, Governor Phil Snott. Maybe you can call up the governor's office at 828-3339. Oh, that's the fax number. I'm sorry. 828-3333. 828-3333. Call up the governor and say, how much do this woman get paid? And why are we paying another chairwarmer in state government? And speaking of government, oh yeah, from the Book of Mormon, in the index, page 593, Ether. Ether was the son of Aha, the father of Moron. He executed judgment and wickedness, and there were many prophets during Ether's reign. Ether was the last great Jaredite prophet, according to the Morons. No, actually, he was the father of Moron. I don't know if that makes him a moron or not. M-O-R-O-N. I kid you not. Next time they come knocking on your door with their neckties and stuff, grab them by the necktie and say, I want me a copy of that Book of Mormon, whatever. I want to read about the moron, the son of Ether. Anyway, speaking of which, did you people see that snarling, snapping, nasty little Swedish mongoloid at the UN this week? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? I should be home choking the chickens and scaling the fish up on the fjords in Sweden. No, I am here because you have ruined my future. You have ruined my planet. And all you care about is the money. How dare you? How dare you? I could have been queen of the Lutefisk Festival. I should be home salting the fish and putting them up on stilts. But no. And you know, there's a good thing by Clark. I'll send you the link. He just squeezed another one out this morning about how they're using kids to scare the hell out of them. They did this when we were kids, too. They had the duck and cover crap, you know. See, Bert the Turtle. You can see Bert the Turtle, actually, on YouTube, man. They used to play these cartoons for us in school. Duck and cover, duck and cover. If you see the flash, duck and cover, because you'll be fried to a crisp in a radioactive fireball that's going to ruin the planet for life and eternity and poison the air with plutonium, but hell. You'll be able to live for a while until your hair and teeth fall out, you know, but it was okay. And it's funny how the big atom bomb scare just kind of faded off into the distance when the Vietnam War came in '65. By the time I was in like third grade, man. Just scared the living crap out of us. But you know what? We shrugged it off. It's like, hey, screw you people. We're going to live for today. Na, 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 live for today. Yeah, and here is, my God, this woman, the hag of the house. And, you know, Biden and his son brags, hopefully Todd will squeeze that clip in on the beginning of this program, maybe the end too. They're talking about an impeachment inquiry begins. Oh, this is like the fourth time. You ever heard about crying wolf there, Miss Stretchface? God, this woman's face is tighter than a frickin' Remo drumhead, man. It's insane. An impeachment inquiry, there's no such thing. If you're going to hold an impeachment, you bring it to the House with a vote on the floor. But you know why she doesn't do that? Because she doesn't have the votes. And even if they did have the votes, now wait a minute, mind you, Biden's son, Hunter S. Biden, like Hunter S. Thompson, Hunter Biden, he got thrown out of the Navy twice, mind you, for whizzing dirty, for cocaine. And how many times have you rented a car, Todd, in your life?
I never have, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I never have. I just take Uber.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Back in the old days when, you know, you rent cars, or some of us would have business in one city or the other, or actually I rented an Explorer on vacation. one time, and I took my wife on a tour of the Southwest, and they didn't have unlimited mileage, so you know what I did? I rented this Explorer, and I made a couple of marks on the tachometer. So where the tachometer would be at, say, 55 or 65 or 75 miles an hour, right, Toddster? And I got underneath it with an adjustable wrench, and I pulled out the speedometer cable that went to the tranny, and at the end of the cable is a little nylon gear. It drives the speedometer cable that tells you how fast you're going. Well, I just took the gear off, put the thing back in the hole, tightened it up. We drove all over the Southwest, and I returned the thing with about 100 miles on it.
I don't know if you could do that now with the
Oh, it's all digital.
computer-driven.
Yeah, it's all digital.
That's pretty awesome.
But anyways, Biden's kid rented cars, and 2 times, mind you, 2 times when he returned cars, they found crack pipes in his rental car. Now, I know what you're saying. Mel, anybody who rents a car always forgets their crack pipe in it. And the last time in New Mexico, he not only left his crack pipe, but his wallet, his ID, all this other stuff. We always leave our crack pipe. I mean, I can't go up the street and buy groceries without leaving my crack pipe at the register. You know what I mean? Everybody does it. Anyways, this joker has no experience with anything except being a drug addict. He goes with daddy to the Ukraine, gets a $50,000 a month seat on a board, an energy board. He doesn't speak Ukrainian, doesn't speak Russian, doesn't know the Cyrillic alphabet. But somehow Joe goes over there, and then they got a prosecutor looking into his kid and his shady dealings and how many millions of dollars the way they paid him in some kind of funky money, which got wired to a bank in Latvia and then got wired back down to a bank, in Cyprus, and then got wired from the bank in Cyprus to his account in the United States. Now, everybody does that. It's like traveler's checks. You know what I mean? Happens to everybody, you say. So anyways, the Ukrainians are investigating his punk-ass, drug-addict kid for corruption, and Joe is on tape on this clip. You'll see him. He's bragging 4 years later saying, hey, I said I wanted that prosecutor fired, or you ain't getting the money, which was $1 billion in foreign aid he's dangling over their head. And they're all like, what? You don't have the power. You can't just cancel our foreign aid. And he says, you watch me. He says, my plane's leaving in about 3-4 hours. And unless you fire that prosecutor, you're not getting the money. And he says, well, son of a biscuit. Only he didn't use the word biscuit. He says, son of a bitch. Yeah, sure enough, that guy was fired. And the same thing happens to China. There's 3 guys involved here, right, Toddster? You got Hunter Biden. I think it's called Rosemont Capital, this little company he started, a private equity firm or whatever they call it, as an investment company, right? And who else is in the company with him? Somebody named Hines, which was John Kerry's son-in-law by marriage, right? And Whitey Bulger's nephew from Boston, okay? You got these 3 jokers involved. Now, mind you, the Chinese have never put a nickel into these equity firms, okay, until Hunter Biden comes along, and they give him and his buddies, Whitey Bulger's nephew and John Kerry's son-in-law, they give them $1 billion friggin' dollars, okay? And we're supposed to believe that that's all above board. Well, it's an unwritten rule up until now, okay? There was an unwritten rule that once a new president comes in, like Obama, they knew that Bush committed war crimes, lied us into war, tortured people, holding people without trial, all of this stuff. We thought Obama inferred that he was going to prosecute people for these crimes. Did he? Oh, no. As soon as Obama gets elected, he says, never mind the dead bodies over here. we got to look forward. You're not going to look backwards. So all these idiots that sunk our economy and sent us the check for the bill for sinking the economy, all those Wall Street maggots ran free, and Obama didn't do anything because that was the unwritten rule. You never prosecute any corruption when you come into office. Well, nobody told Trumpster that because Trumpster thinks that, hey, a crime is a crime is a crime. And it's like being pregnant. You're either corrupt or you're not. There's no getting around it. And like Obama buying a $15 million mansion on Martha's Vineyard. How's he do that on say, $100,000 a year pension or whatever? How's that happen? And then Joe Biden, he made something like $250,000 a year when he was VP. And then you look at his tax records that he released. After he gets out and being VP, he's making $400 or $500 million a year. How's that work? Funny how that works. So Trumpster says the new Ukrainian president, who, mind you, is a comedian that had a late-night TV show where he played the prime minister on TV, putting up with the corruption in the Ukraine, is now actually the president, speaks perfect English. He's meeting with them today. I saw the live before I left. So Trump's going after the corruption. And they're all like, oh, you can't do that. We're going to impeach you. We're going to start an impeachment inquiry. Yep, that's the ticket, an inquiry. We're not going to put the vote on the floor. It's an inquiry. Earlier Tuesday, Nancy Pelosi sidestepped questions about whether she believed Trump's actions were impeachable, but said it would be wrong for the president to ask a foreign leader for help investigating Biden, the leading contender for the Democratic presidential nomination. Leading contender. The guy can't keep his dentures in his head. His eyes popping out blood during a friggin' debate, but he's the leading contender, mister. He's the best we got, by Jesus. She said she wouldn't say whether his actions were impeachable, where it would be wrong to ask for help investigating Biden. Wrong does not mean illegal, okay? Wrong means that you're stepping on toes and you're upsetting the natural order. What do they keep calling it? Oh, he's violating the norms. The norms. And every one of these jokers that got in front of a TV camera today was saying, well, he's violated his oath of office. Well, really? How? Well, he's violated his oath of office. Oh, how exactly? Oh, never mind that. Next question. It's insane. They're insane, all of them. Trump has sought to, listen to this to talk about editorializing. Trump has sought to implicate Biden and his son in the kind of corruption that has long plagued the Ukraine. Hunter Biden served on the board of a gas company. At the same time, Daddy was leading the Obama diplomatic dealings with Kiev. Though the timing raised concerns among anti-corruption advocates, there has been no evidence of wrongdoing by the former VP or his son. Got that? No evidence. Never mind that they laundered the money, that they strong-armed people, that they fired the prosecutor investigating. There's just no evidence, nothing to see here. Move along, move along. Bite Me said Tuesday that Congress must use its full constitutional authority to determine whether Trump asked the Ukrainian president, for dirt on the former vice president. He didn't have to ask for it. You're so stupid you bragged about it. You idiot. Oh, yeah. It leaves Congress with no choice but to initiate impeachment. Oh, sure. Oh, that's not an editorial. Oh, no. Oh, hell no. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. It's insane. Oh, and here we are. Speaking of exploits, read his column and thank your lucky stars he's not writing about you. Yeah, ask the exploit. Ask the Hebrew. Because, all these experts are Hebrews. He's cracking up. Read his column. No thanks, you read it. Who is Michael Wolff, and who cares? Nobody, you know? Oh, here we go. The indoctrination continues week after week after week. Lesbos, trannies, and queers, oh my. Lesbos, trannies, and queers, oh my. Lesbos, trannies, and queers, oh my. LGBTQRU12C3PO care. It's all about, you know, it's all about caring for the queers. Not that there's anything wrong with that. He says it's actually cool to be gay now. Really? I don't know about that. Anal pap smears. They got to check you for throat gonorrhea. Rectal chlamydia swabs. Rectal and chlamydia swabs. Okay. Yeah. And these people say they're ashamed and they have personal shame. Well, why do you have shame if it's so cool now? I mean, it's a bundle of contradictions here. Doctor focuses on serving the needs of an underserved community. Remember, all you got to remember is UVM, okay? Everybody's a UVM except for straight white people. Underserved, vulnerable, and marginalized. Repeat after me. Underserved, vulnerable, marginalized. Everybody's a UVM, except for straight white people. Yeah, let's see. Oh, and junkies too. Let's see. Additional things related, prescribing HIV medicine, yada, yada, yada. When it comes to sexual health, it's important to be extra vigilant with the methods of screening and prevention for STDs. Anal pap smears, throat gonorrhea swabs, and rectal gonorrhea and chlamydia swabs should be administered in addition to the more common urine test. Oh! It's not exclusive to the gay population. There's lots of people who are having anal intercourse and no one ever talks or asks about it. Oh yeah, there's a lot of that going around. Not. Come on, man. It's like the tailpipe on your car, man. It's exit only, you know what I mean? We miss a lot of cases when we just do the urine. Among people who inject drugs, the PrEP reduces the risk of HIV by 74% when taken daily. Alex Riskowski, a new patient of Dr. Strepker, has felt dissatisfied with physicians in the past. Despite asking during 2 visits a year apart, he said that his previous doctor was unwilling to prescribe him PrEP. Yeah. Now, I'm a relatively young person, and I'm not in a long-term committed relationship. It seems to be natural that I be asked about PrEP. He's officially felt left out. Okay. Oh, here we are. Kenneth Mercure, a Monterey resident and facilitator for Rainbow Seniors. What is a facilitator? Anybody?
It's a reptile, right? Like an alligator facilitator.
A facilitator, yeah. It's an amphibian, I think.
Yeah.
He's a facilitator for Rainbow Seniors. So one of the biggest issues members of the trans community addressed at the forum was that sign-in forms at their providers didn't allow them to choose their own pronouns or genders. Mercure, who prefers to be referred to by the they-them pronouns, has already seen this put into place at some offices. I told you, I'm identifying as a zebra, and my pronouns are je and jem, okay? And I'll be mad. If you don't use it. Strepker said the patients are encouraged to tell their doctors what pronouns they'd like to use, and that as their intake system is updated, it'll be an option as sign-in as well. Give me a break. Whatever, okay? Whatever. Oh, man. Unearthing. Here we are. Unearthing beliefs of the Patriot Front. Oh, see, because, you know, you can have Black Lives Matter. You can have La Raza, which means the race in Spanish. But boy, oh boy, if you advocate or you tell anybody that you're happy to be white or be proud to be white, oh boy, mister, you're in big trouble. What does the Patriot Front actually believe? Oh, God. And it's a whole article. I mean, it's like unbelievable. And these people from the they quote these professors from these obscure universities. Have you ever heard of Appalachian State University, Toddster?
Appalachian steak?
Yeah, state, yeah.
Oh, state. No.
Neither have I.
I have a feeling it's in the hills of Appalachia.
Yeah, how about Pacific Lutheran University?
No.
Must be near the Pacific, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
unbelievable. Traditional versus modernism. Some Americans long for the days of Leave It to Beaver, white picket fences in suburbia. No, we long for the days when money was worth something before Johnson took the silver out of it, created a national debt that went through the roof, kept giving away money during this war on poverty that failed, and they ruined the economy so that two people have to work what one person needed to do when we were kids. You don't think we noticed that? It's got nothing to do with Leave It to Beaver. It's the devaluation of our money, you fools. Oh, yeah. Ethical standards no longer exist. The state has situated itself in an ever-growing pile of parasitic rules and regulations. Bloated to the point of breaking by bureaucracy, each action taken to solve any problem is done solely as a mean to delay the inevitable. Nothing about the current system is sustainable. Hey, sounds normal to me. Somebody's here and he don't like my headdress. Anyways,
Off with your head, then.
off with my head. Yeah, better get the knife out. And here we are. Day after day after day. It's like queers and trannies one day, and now we got the crisis at the border. Every other day, it's the border crisis. And these poor people, they're trying to leave their violence, and oh my God, it's horrible. It's just terrible. It's terrible. Crisis at the border strains agents, immigration courts, and aid groups to the brink of collapse. Well, you know what? Send them home, okay? Deport them all. And here we are. 1 week inside the border crisis. How about getting tough? You get tough on these people, they'll stay home. Thanks, Toddster. And here's the people. They're having litters of little quitters, you know. It's mind-boggling. Future gang members, yeah, they already got their MS-13 tattoos. Sure, why not? Yeah. Blame Trump for everything, you bet. Yada, yada, yada. Online, a family shivers through the night at a Border Patrol freezer room. Well, you know what? If it wasn't air conditioned, they'd be complaining about how hot it is being in the desert and all. An immigration judge faces a stack of 40 new case files. A mother bathes her child with water from a garbage can. A federal agent shuttles yet another family to a processing center. These scenes begin a week in the story of American immigration. Experience the full week. Number 2, Meet the Migrants. A half-hour documentary reveals the faces behind the stories. Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. You know what? My mother, God bless her, she was Ukrainian. She was taken from her village by the Nazis, made to do slave labor, put in a Nazi labor camp, and but anyways, she used to have a ton of Ukrainian sayings, and one of my favorites was, if you live near the cemetery, you can't cry for everyone. And here we are. Migrants detail the dangers they face. Oh, and here's another in the series. Oh, get out now. It's over. It's over. Screw. Okay. So much depended on this hearing. This is a Cuban guy. He and his namesake son fled Cuba, including a moment on U.S. soil. He was crossing back into America. He wasn't sure he'd be able to stay because of the massive backlog. So much depended on this hearing. He and his 22-year-old kid to be sent back to the bridge to Nuevo Laredo in its cartels and violence. Ozzy lay on the floor. He spoke of the criminals who stalked the bridge, picking off migrants. He and his son were targeted by kidnappers twice, but had no money and were turned loose with warnings not to return. Those who arrive are being taken one by one. Really? What? The cartel members, taking people's organs like they do in China? At least 42,000 migrants have been forced back into Mexico. Many of them say they fled violence or threats. Again, they say anything because, see, they know that the door's shut except for asylum seekers. So what do? They all seek asylum. And they come up with little cards, and they're telling them how they can get in. They got a new Remain in Mexico program, yada, yada, yada. She has no documents common among migrants who flee their homes quickly out of fear. Oh, sure. There's another sob story. Meanwhile, Border Patrol, let's see. Margarita Arredondo, the pastor of the church, I'm giving prediction. Nearly half of those are sent back, but they don't want us anywhere. Mexicans reject us too, said a 29-year-old Honduran. They got the Mexicans are fed up with you, okay? And I don't blame them. They've had it. Let's see. Honduran woman who spoke only on anonymity because she was afraid. She said she just learned about the murder of her friend in Intibuca, where she fled, leaving 2 children behind with her mother because the gangs threatened her. Oh, God. Well, you know what you do? Here's what you do, okay? This has been the same throughout history. It's called the paradigm of the violent tribe, okay? You got a violent tribe, they show up, they burn your houses, they take your home. You either have to become violent and wipe them out, or they wipe you out, okay? Now you get a gang problem down there. These gang members got guns and stuff. So what do? You get your neighborhood watch together, you take your machetes, you hack the gang members to pieces, you take their guns, you go out and kill other gang members, and you keep going until you clean the place up. It's that simple, man. It's like the French Resistance.
That really doesn't sound all that simple. That sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lot of work, man. We don't want to have to work. We can come to the United States, man.
I mean, like, simple as making Kraft macaroni and cheese, but...
Yeah. You can eat it right out of the box, man. Okay, here we are. Oversees the prosecution said in a court filing that simple thefts, fraud, minor drug or traffic offenses, and DWIs without an aggravating factor don't result in separation. What, are you kidding me? You're telling these people it's okay to do DUIs? I mean, how many people are get run over by people that are cocked or junkies now? We got our own junkies nodding off and coming into lanes of traffic, and now you want to let in a people whose culture is a culture of drinking and driving? What, are you kidding me?
Isn't America a culture of drinking and driving?
Yeah. We got enough of it right here, man.
Yeah, we've got a sport for it. It's called NASCAR.
NASCAR.
Yeah, they literally drive fast with their cars painted with Coors Light on them.
Yeah. And in the beginning, man, they
it was from running
it was
alcohol.
for running booze, so they wouldn't have to pay taxes on their corn liquor.
Well, yeah, you got to get it across the border during Prohibition too.
Yeah. That worked out great, didn't it?
It always does.
Here we are. Utes demand action against climate change. My mother also had a good name for these people. She called them pissabeds, okay? These little whining pissabeds. You got that whining little pig-tailed mongoloid screaming at us, man. Oh, this is from Sunday. This was before a big freak out. During Thunberg's short lifetime, the Earth has already warmed 0.6 degrees. Yet I read another statistic that said over the past 150 years, the Earth has only warmed 0.3 degrees, if you average it up. What the hell? I think we're being lied to by both sides, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I think the bottom line with all of it is maybe just don't dump garbage in rivers and
And like Clark says in his article, right, Toddster, how many of these kids come from suburbia where their parents are using Roundup to kill to kill dandelions on their massive lawns?
Sure.
You know, that they
Yeah.
spend thousands of dollars on lawnmowers mowing and stuff. And how many of the kids are willing to live off? And how, you know, you like that shower every day, Bunky? How were you going to take a shower like that without heating the water?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said this to you before too. I think the worst thing they could have ever called it was global warming or climate change. It just needs to be called what it is pollution.
Pollution, yeah.
Yeah, we like plastic. My grandparents didn't have plastic.
Yeah, and here's the thing. What with natural gas, I mean, everything I have is propane, right?
Yeah.
My stove, hot water, dryer. It's all propane because that's the most efficient and least polluting, you know? And it's like, what the hell? I kind of like being able to take a shower every day. You want to go back to living like your grandparents where they took a bath once a week and you had to heat up the water on a friggin' wood stove even in July? You know, what the hell? And here's we got the Young Whiners Project too. And there's another one. Full page Canuck Baloney by Ernie Pomerleau, the junior. Oh, he's going on and on and on about the National Guard, you know. And what they don't tell you, it's like, get this. Oh, sure. They talk about Tropical Storm Irene. I felt sick to my stomach, Doobie said. Oh, they quote Doobie over and over again. The guy who, when he was running against Shumlin, said, I got a list here of all the people they're going to let out of jail if Shumlin gets elected and they, you know, start letting drug offenders out of jail. And so the reporter asked him to look at the paper. He finally got it out of his greasy fingers, and it was a blank piece of paper. That Doobie. Oh, yeah, it's Immediate Response Authority, Dubby said. Oh, this is his brother, the head of the National Guard, excuse me. Dick Harris informed a military vehicle is stalled in high water near Rutland, and a second vehicle attempting to rescue it also stalled. The 6 combined National Guard members could only stand on the roofs of the vehicles as floodwaters rose rapidly. I tell you, I felt sick to my stomach, Dubby said. We've just gone through a deployment. We lost some good people. We're going to have members of the Guard down in Vermont. Drown in Vermont? Luckily, first responders and Zodiacs are able to reach them. People were just doing the right thing. Wherever they were, they're helping out in the middle of the storm. Yeah, that's called being good neighbors, you jackass. Unfortunately, the Guard couldn't do anything. The following morning dawned with blue skies. A high-pressure system moved in. Dubby mounted a UH-72 Lakota helicopter and flew from Camp Johnson down to Montpelier, where he picked up Shummy and Leahy and joined him for an aerial survey. Now, what he doesn't tell you is that they had to wait over a day because our National Guard helicopters during Tropical Storm Irene were over in Iraq, and these helicopters had to be flown here from South Dakota. Oh, we just left that part out. Silly us. Praise the Guard. And they don't tell you about the National Guard, how they used to break up Union strikers at the marble and granite quarries down near Rutland. Oh, no mention about that. Helping out the man to keep the workers down. And they never mention about the friggin' every August, these jackasses would fly overhead, going back and forth over a different grid every year looking for weed that people were growing outside. How many hundreds of people did they bust for weed using National Guard helicopters? Oh, we don't want to talk about that, damn it. And then my buddy of mine in the Guard, he was telling us about how when he was over in Ramadi in Iraq, they paid $150,000 every 2 weeks, $300,000 a month in stacks of cash to a warlord in Ramadi for gravel berms around their forward operating base. Oh, we don't mention that. Stacks of brand new $100 bills from George Bush. and how they run down civilians. They beep the horn, man, when they're coming down the road in Iraq. If you don't get out of the way, they run over people, dogs, kids, nothing. It didn't matter. You got out of the way or you died, okay? Because they thought everybody was a bomber. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Guard, man. And here we are.
Sounds like New York City taxi drivers to me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Get out of the way, or you're gonna die.
Like Tijuana. You ain't been in nothing till you've been in a cab in Tijuana, mister.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, here we are. We were kids once. Now that we're older, we draw people we miss. Our teachers hand us books about the big future and awful historical tragedies. Now that we're older, we throw anger at politicians. Our friends draw over our eyes with fat black markers and draw round, sad faces. Now that we're older, we watch the world burn. Our mourning of childhood becomes evident, and we put on our big boots. Now that we're not kids anymore, we wish we were. It gets better. Generation Z, change can happen. Our generation never fought in World War II, never fought in Vietnam, never saw none of the events of 9/11. Those in the generations who did sacrificed their lives so that we could have a chance. What? And from Vietnam? So that we could have a chance? What are you kidding me? Korea and Vietnam were both a joke. These kids know history at all? Here we are. Now it's our turn to preserve the earth and its inhabitants, to leave behind a better world for our future generations, a world that knows little gun violence, low levels of mental health problems, and the right for everyone to have the resources they need to succeed. Because if we don't have the resources, we're going to tax the people who do to put in our pockets. That's not in here, I made that up. If each of us find a cause and push for it, no matter how big or small, we can make change happen. Yeah, you'll be making change all right at the local burger shack. Let's see, you're making change from a 20, you learn how to make change real quick.
They don't use cash anymore.
Yeah, right. And they have registers that tell you how much to give back to the people.
Oh, yeah.
They do the math for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, our voices can be heard. If we do not push, set a goal, or stand up for those who cannot, we as Generation Z will inherit more problems than we can control. There are countless adults in our communities that work behind the scenes to build a better world, piece by piece. Join them, learn from them. Let's start moving so change can happen. Yeah, we're going to be making change, all right. Yep. Major General Dubby. Oh, no, he was a Lieutenant General Dubby. During Tropical Storm Irene in 2011. Yeah, pay no attention to the National Guard helicopters. We didn't have them, but geez Louise. Oh, get this. This is in today's paper. Hurry up. It's a 2-page article. Now, mind you, silver is only like 20 bucks an ounce, right? So they're selling a half-ounce bar of silver for $29. And it's the most deceptive advertising you have ever seen, Toster. Listen to this baloney.
So marijuana is worth more an ounce than silver is?
Oh, yeah. Not by much now, though.
Yeah.
I remember the good old days when it was at least $300 an ounce, man. You could run some lights in a room upstairs and make some money. Not now. Sealed vault bags full of heavy silver bars are being handed over for the first Vermont residents who find their zip code in today's and call before the 48 hour. Well, look, Pierre, I better check for my zip code. Hey, there it is right there, 05859. I'd better call them, okay? I want to get a half ounce of heavy silver, not a half ounce of, of light silver, because which weighs more, a half ounce of feathers or a half ounce of silver? Oh, that's right. They're both half an ounce. Oh, get this. It's like a modern-day gold rush. Oh, yeah. The executive advisor, let's see. This is a real steal for residents because each silver vault bag loaded with 10 Vermont state silver bars is normally set at $500, which is the standard $50 per heavy half-ounce bar. State minimum set by the Federated Mint. $50 for a heavy half-ounce. I told you, silver's going for $20 an ounce, and they're getting $30 for a half an ounce. Okay. I'm not even going to waste any more time on this. It's nuts. That's because in 2 days, the state minimum for these heavy half-ounce bars returns to its normal state at $50 per half-ounce bar. Okay. Sign me up there, Pierre.
So this is your 10-minute warning.
Oh, God. Oh, you know what happens when you hire dropouts, folks? Well, I mean, how many people these days, kids, we used to learn about spontaneous combustion in shop, man. Did they ever teach you that in shop, Toddster?
I didn't take shop, but...
Yeah, but I mean, they had the metal barrels where you put rags in, dirty rags.
Right, and they can just ignite.
Yeah, because they can ignite and like
they
burn.
They did that with us because I was in art class, so we used to paint with oil paints, and we'd use linseed oil and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Well, I guess they're not teaching that anymore.
No?
No, I paint with oils when you can use a computer program, I guess.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah,
Van Gogh's early pixel work on Windows .1 was great.
Investigators in the Department of Public Safety found that waste materials such as sawdust and dirty rags have been thrown in a dumpster at the front of the building, and they put the dumpster in the front of the building.
Sweet.
Saturday's warm temperatures and humidity led to a spontaneous ignition within the dumpster. Had these dumpsters been 10 feet or further from the building, the fire more likely have been discovered, reported, and put out before the building was threatened. Yeah. Burnt Vermont Timber Works office, burnt it completely destroyed, Toddster. Oh, and here's another one. Deportation's like a death sentence. Now, mind you, this guy's got such mad skills. He's bilingual, so he uses his mad skills at a cell phone store, and he's got a kidney that he got a kidney transplant in the United States, and he's complaining if they deport him, they won't have any drugs in Mexico. Wait a minute. They have people going to Mexico to buy prescription drugs like Bernie used to do up here with Canadians. You know what I mean? Mm. Oh, they don't have drugs in Mexico. Oh, sure. Morales said he received a kidney transplant last year as he requires extensive medication and other treatments that would be too expensive for him in Mexico. So wait a minute. So what the hell? Wow. Your point is? And here we are. Oh, there's another one. They had this face transplant woman on TV, Toddster. Did you see that?
I don't think so.
Well, you know, they mention the fact, you know, I'm not saying that all black people are bad or all interracial marriages don't work out, but you know what? I've seen a lot that have. I mean, one of my buddy's parents were a biracial couple, and they worked it out, but he was a cop. He was a police chief. But this woman, she was a nurse. She married this black wacko, and he beat her. She told him to get the hell out. She had had enough of his crap. He couldn't or wouldn't keep a job, right? So he beat her with a bat and doused her with a lye, burning her over 80% of her body. And now her face transplant is starting to crap out, and she's looking at maybe another transplant or God knows what. She had it in February 2013, repeated rejection episodes when her new face became swollen and red. Some blood vessels in her face narrowed and closed, causing facial tissue to die. Yeah, beat her with a bat and doused her with lye. Nice guy. Yeah, nice guy. And here we are. Trump to the diaper heads. Give us back $100 million. You know, and He's going after it's the diaper heads, the towel heads versus the diaper heads. The towel heads being the Saudi Arabians because they have the dish dash and they look like towels, and versus the Iranians who have actual diapers on their heads. So it's the towel heads versus the diaper heads. But anyways, he's asking for $100 million back from the Afghan government, citing corruption. Funny. He did that with the Ukrainians, and now he's being called out on it. Washington taking back $100 million intended for an Afghan energy infrastructure project, citing unacceptably high levels of corruption in the Afghan government. Oh, you think? The U.S. will still finish the massive project. It's a joke. You can see all this waste at sigar.mil. The Special Inspector General for Afghan Reconstruction. It's a joke. It's a joke, man. It's unbelievable. Hey, kid.
5-minute warning.
Okay. Oh yeah, here it is, right here. Oh, towel heads versus the diaper heads. Anti-Taliban raid kills 40 civilians. We just, they talk about the Taliban blowing up civilians, but we just had a raid that killed 40 civilians at a wedding party. Ain't we wonderful? Yeah, we're blowing up people for, Jesus, I guess. It's nuts. It's nuts. Killed at least 40 civilians attending a wedding party in southern Helmand province. We are saddened and divested to hear that civilians have lost their lives, said President Ghani. And his repeated call for extra cautions in conducting military operations, said Sadiq Siddiqui, President Ashraf Ghani's spokesman. Oh, sure. The operation killed 22 Taliban fighters, including foreigners. Afghan's defense ministry said in a statement, 14 people were arrested, including 5 Pakistani nationals and 1 Bangladeshi. Again, it's not just the Taliban. You've got these bugs coming in from all over the place, and a lot of them are Sunni Muslims, and it's going on and on and on. Yeah, we had a tour bus driver. His first trip, he crashed and killed 4 Chinese tourists and injured dozens more, Toddster.
I saw that.
Yeah. Don't mind me. You gotta start somewhere, right? Oh, and here we are. Ugh, white snake, speak with forked tongue. Here's Chief Spreading Bull right here. Now, I'm not even going to tell you what that is in her hand, okay? But it don't look good to me. Yeah, she's gaining ground in a major shakeup. Oh, sure, it's a horse race. Just keep getting the paper. And I think they're talking about Tulsi Gabbard met the threshold for the next debate. But I don't think they're going to let her on the same stage as Elizabeth Warren because Tulsi Gabbard is anti-war. You should see the interviewer with her on The View. These women are warmongers. It's like, what do you mean? We should just ignore atrocities over the world? We shouldn't get involved? We shouldn't be bombing other countries for peace in the American way? What? It's insane, man.
Bombs for peace?
Yeah, bombs for peace. Unbelievable. Oh, and here's the one.
2 minutes.
A lawmaker finds surprise in suicide prevention bills. Well, you know what? Her husband killed himself because he was in chronic pain. That was the reason that they started handing out narcotics in the 90s. And they had the pain charts at the hospital, you idiots. Listen to this. They went so far that people, I've had a guy in my chronic pain pod down in UMass Worcester. He killed himself. He couldn't take the pain anymore. The next morning, while he was in Pennsylvania and she was in PA, he was in New York, she saw a middle-of-the-night text message from her husband, Acker. A loving message, one that didn't serve as a warning, as he often woke up in the middle of the night due to chronic pain he suffered after a surgery that left him with nerve damage, which he had lived for about 12 years. Because, see, like orthopedic surgeons, they tell you, oh, we got a 95% success rate. Well, what happens to the 5%, you know? Ah, well, they get nerve damage, and then, you know, we ignore you, and if you're in chronic pain and you come back saying you're in chronic pain, we just label you as drug-seeking behavior. We're not going to take care of you because we don't want you to get addicted, even though it's like 80%, 90% of people taking narcotics, time release, are perfectly fine to have their pain gone. You idiots. Unbelievable.
30 seconds.
All right. Well, once again, you wasted a perfectly good hour of your life watching this stupid show, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. Inshallah, as the Hebrabs say, good Lord willing. And until then, remember, we've been here for 10 years now. And until then, get down on your hands and knees in the men-only mosque, sniff the bum of the guy in the man dress next to you, and pray towards Mecca, because that's where they got the meteorite, the rock, you know. Pray off your socks, head to the rock, and go, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Akbar.
They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a... Got fired.
Don't be on the big